Today's ritual is for the Eight of Swords. And on the image of the Eight of Swords, she is wearing a blindfold. And it's about feeling stuck or stuck in a rut, but not really being stuck at all. The blindfold is an idea of needing to listen to your intuition and tap into other ways of knowing rather than just kind of looking at all those swords and going, well, I'm stuck, I live here now. So for this ritual, what you're going to need is a question that you've been stewing on or that you feel stuck in. And it's best if it is phrased as a question. In this particular version of it, what you're seeing me here ask is, what does my intuition need me to know? So this is a discernment practice. Basically, what you're going to be doing is asking the same question 4 times. I like to do a little symbol in my journal that I'm doing this exercise. And here you see me creating it with the symbol and the question at the top. And then I put my hand on my head and ask the question of my logic, my brain, my mind. And that logical answer is almost always the answer that you kind of already know, basically because that's probably the loudest voice in your head anyway. It's the easiest to articulate, and usually it just makes good sense because it is the logical one. Then you put your hand on your heart and ask the same question again. And this is usually the feeling answer. Often this is another answer that's pretty easy to access and easy to hear. It might take a few more minutes, but sit there with your hand on your heart until you have a clear answer to your question. And I like to write them down as I go so that I can kind of sit with them as a whole. The next one you're going to do is put your hand on your belly, and you've got the second most rich collection of neurons in your intestines. And this is your gut. This is your intuition. This is your belly brain. And so this is often the intuition that is the hardest to hear. And I think the Eight of Swords is telling us that we need to get quiet and still and sit with this particular answer. So what you're going to do here is listen for what your gut wants you to know, and ask the same question again and write down the answers again. And often this one will be a little surprising. The last one that I ask is not in my body. It is my guides or spirit or the universe or whatever aspect of the numinous that you relate to. And I ask that question again of spirit in almost a form of prayer. And I write down that answer as well. And I'll tell you, I had this really brilliant, beautiful epiphany as I was recording this. You might see it on my face. You might actually see how I respond to it. But basically, the message that I got from the divine was ease means that it's in alignment. And I'm really enjoying that and sitting with it today. So sometimes you can get really beautiful insights this way, just like that. The other thing that is important to note about this particular process is that sometimes they will disagree with one another. And I tend to think of myself as the tiebreaker. My whole self is the driver of this bus, the chairman of this board. And I get to choose which answer makes the most sense to me. However, I will say that the gut never lies and never steers me wrong. So the gut brain is the one that I tend to prioritize. But usually they're in alignment with one another, more or less. You're going to see that there's a flow to the answers. Let me know how this works for you. I'd love to know if you try this and if you have any wonderful epiphanies and insights. Thanks.